Well, looks like I picked the wrong day to give up the Nice Guys on Business podcast. That and sniffing glue. Not that there's a difference. Need an education on how to grow your business? The Nice Guys are here to help. Learn about great customer service, networking, and how just being nice can help you prosper. Now, here are your hosts, Doug Sandler and Strickland Bonner.
Hey, Nice Guy community, welcome back, welcome back. On the other side of the microphone, Mr. Doug Sandler. Over here, Mr. Strickland Bonner.
That's good. I like that. You're going back to Monday's reference where I said that you made me feel like a steerage.
Exactly. Together we are the Nice Guys on Business, and apparently we're going to have to co-headline. Like I saw years ago, I saw David Lee Roth and Sammy Hagar, and they called themselves co-headliners, and they would switch every night. Like one would open for the other. And so now, obviously, I need to introduce you first sometimes because I certainly do not want to offend you, Doug.
Oh, no, you're never offending me. I think that everybody likes the welcome back. So it's understood that you're going to be the guy that's introing the show, unless, of course, you're doing the interview, in which case I would be happy to do the beginning part of the show. I like it better this way. I'm very comfortable in the relationship that we have built so far. You do all the heavy work, and I come and sweep up all of the fame.
There we go.
Fine.
And you do all the interviews. You find all the people, and you do all the social media, which I like just not.
I know we're going to get to Adam Toporek's interview in just one second, but I have to tell you something. I'm getting a little frustrated with the handlers for Gary Vaynerchuk. Now, Gary has already committed to coming on the show, and we are going to have him on the show in January, and I'm going to make sure that it happens. But I cannot reach the same guy, the same handler that gave me the information to begin with. And now it's like, now he's disappeared off the face of the earth. And that's not a good feeling. I'm feeling like I'm hoping no ill has become of him, but I'm thinking, what is going on? Why are you not responding to me? I just don't like when people don't respond. It's horrible job of customer service. Speaking of which,
that sounded like a segue right into Adam Toporek.
Yeah. Speaking of which, my good friend Adam Toporek is on the show today. I met Adam a couple of years ago through Shep Hyken, and we were talking customer service. It's all about the customer journey and the experience, and making sure that it's the most happy, enjoyable, friendly, easy way for a customer to experience your brand. And in having that conversation with Adam, we really connected on that level of, hey, this guy's really got the same philosophy and methodology that I have. So it's just coincidental over the last couple of years we've been following a lot of the same path and the same people. And then just a couple months ago, when I was doing my book signing up in New York with Jeffrey Hazlett and the C-Suite Network, Adam was doing his at the same time. And about a week beforehand, we discovered that we were both going to be up there. So anyway, share a little information. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, his book is called Be Your Customer's Hero, Real-World Tips and Techniques for the Service Front Lines. He also has a podcast called Crack the Customer Code. So, he is just all about customer service.
Are you feeling like he might be, is he copying us a little bit? He's got the book and he's got the podcast and he's got a co-host. His co-host actually is a woman. My co-host, as you know, Strickland, is a man. But aside from that, though, do you feel like maybe he's, copying what we're doing?
I don't know. He's done 170 episodes, but I don't know how often they come out. It looks like he is a once a week. So if he has 170 episodes and he's been doing it for once a week, I think he may have started before us.
Oh, so maybe Strickland, are you thinking maybe we're copying him? Maybe
it's possible.
And if that's the case, then I will shut up and sit down right now.
That'll be a good idea. Why don't we talk about his company called Customers That Stick, which obviously, again, all about customer service, and it's really about. What's all this fuss about customers that smell? I don't think that this is good. I think that we should probably start, really. Yeah, we should really think a little bit more about getting them some deodorant. I think that would be. What do you mean? Not customers that smell, customers that stick.
Oh, not that stink.
No. Oh, stink. That's what you were thinking. It was stink. Yeah.
Oh, I got it. You remember Emily Latella?
No, I don't.
You don't remember Emily? I think that was her name. I think it was Emily Latella on Saturday Night Live. I think if I remember correctly, and I could be completely off here. I swear I'm not looking at any notes. She would get on. She goes, "What's all this fuss I hear about customers that stink? It just doesn't make sense. Let's give them some deodorant." And she goes into this whole, it's like this whole confusion.
Right.
And then like the host of the show says, No, Emily, that's customers that stick, not customers that stink. And she'll go, oh, never mind.
Oh, yeah.
You don't remember her at all, do you?
Vaguely. I vaguely remember that. Oh, never mind. Yeah, I vaguely remember it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, get on with it, Strickland. Get on with it.
Customers that stick. Adam Toporek it's all, that's what his company's all about. I mean, it's about finding customers and making them stick. It's how to get them and how to keep them. And obviously that is really the key to longevity in a business, is getting customers to stick around. And his book is great. And the podcast, I haven't had a chance to listen to, but I'm going to check it out. And maybe we should just dive in and we haven't done the promise statement yet.
Yeah. So why don't you go ahead and deliver the promise statement this time?
Okay. The promise statement would be to provide a learning experience that is entertaining and adds value to your life. Period. End of conversation. That's it. And I hope, Nice Guy community, that we have done that. If we have not, please reach out to us on Twitter. He is at DJ Doug. I am at Nice Guy on Biz with a Z. Or you can join our Facebook community. You can just go to niceshortcut.com and jumps right in on Facebook.
Nice. All right, so let's get to the interview with Adam Toporek. And what's today? Today is today Wednesday?
Oh, I forgot. It is Wednesday. It is Dialing for Doug Day today.
Yeah, so as a part of Dialing for Doug Day, don't forget tonight, 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Dial 410-340-6861. Feel free to have a conversation with me about anything that you want, about business, about personal stuff, about questions about the show, questions about how you might even be able to get on the show or refer guests to the show. We would love to have any questions that you have, questions about advertising. This is not a sales pitch. This is just I'm going to open up the phone lines so that we can have a conversation. I must tell you, over the last couple of weeks, I have been sadly disappointed with the response. We've had one call. All right. Yeah, I think we need to get more than one call. Don't feel like you want to hold back. If you're a regular on the show, pick up the phone and call. If somebody else calls in, I might say, hey, can you excuse me while I answer this next call? But if you're somebody that has never called me, I'm going to let that phone just ring and ring and ring. So come on, 410-340-6861, 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. Let's do it.
And now, if you're not listening to this podcast on December the 14th, Wednesday, or if you're listening after 5 o'clock, or if you're just kind of busy between 5 and 6:30, you got to wait till next week. Sorry.
Yeah. We do this once a week. Last week, I opened it up for the entire week. You know how many calls we got?
How many?
None.
Well, we can talk about that on the Tuesday show. We want to get to Adam Toporek. Can't even speak. Adam Toporek. And we can talk about that on the Tuesday show, because believe me, I definitely had some things to talk about on the Tuesday.
Oh boy. Wait, Tuesday show. That was yesterday.
It was yesterday. It was really good, wasn't it?
No, you got to remember that if we're recording on Sunday for Wednesday and we're talking about Tuesday, it was yesterday.
I know. You're really usually the bad one with the whole time travel thing, and I'm usually really good, and I totally missed that. You're right.
No,
we talked about it on yesterday's show. I hope I didn't give you too much grief, Doug.
No, you really. Does that mean
dialing for Doug?
Does that mean grief came yesterday and I did not realize it?
Yes, exactly.
This is trouble. Go back, and if you have not heard yesterday's show, go ahead and listen. In the meantime, Adam Toporek, right here on the Nice Guys on Business podcast. Friend of the Nice Guys and customer service guru, Adam Toporek, is here today. I've followed Adam on social media for years, and we're very similar in our journey, except Adam is a much better looking guy than me. So, host of Crack the Customer Code podcast with co-host Jeannie Walters and author of Be Your Customer's Hero. Finally, we got you here on the show. Welcome to the show, Adam.
Thanks, Doug. I am so happy to be here, and I appreciate the very misleading compliment. I think if we had the same glasses, we'd actually look pretty close.
Very, very, very close. Except you're in Florida, aren't you? In Orlando?
Yes, Orlando area.
So let's start here, because you're Mr. Customer Service Guru, and I truly believe that, and I know you own that label as well. You live in the land of Mickey. How much influence has Disney World had over your customer service journey?
Oh, tremendous. Well, first of all, we're all influenced by Disney sort of in the aggregate, right? I mean, they are a part of the customer service lexicon.
Oh, wait a minute. You've thrown two words that I now have to write down: aggregate and lexicon. Come on. You can't do that shit with me. You got to talk real with me.
Sorry, that's just how I talk. I know, is my problem. I actually have to dumb down my blog post because there's like a Kincaid Flesher or whatever, right? you're supposed to like write at an 8th grade level.
8th grade. I write and I read and I speak at a 3rd grade level. So I really, when you start talking colors and shapes, then I really start to get it. So could you go back to your lexicon?
So Doug, I really like Disney. They've got this cutest little mouse there.
There you go.
And he smiles, and it's good for customers. Is that good?
Yeah, that's perfect. That's totally what I'm all about.
They really, so they started, they put in the language, not the lexicon, on stage and off stage. Like those concepts are from Disney. And I've run retail businesses, franchise businesses here in Central Florida. So one of the really neat connections for me was when we used to hire frontline staff. And, I do a lot of training for frontline staff. That's my focus. When we used to hire frontline staff, we would actually look and see if they had Disney on their resume.
Really?
Because if they did, they were pre-trained.
That's amazing. So you've let the big boy Disney in this particular case. You've let them train some of your people, and that's okay. It's almost like seeing Google or Zappos or Southwest Air on somebody's resume. But my understanding is nobody ever leaves those companies.
Oh, I mean, they have turnover like anybody else at, I think, the lower tiers of the company for sure. Zappos is a little different, but the other ones are, Disney has a lot of college students and young people that are doing that as a job, and then they're moving on to more career focus, and that may be with Disney, maybe with somebody else. So it depends on those companies, but yeah, they all have great cultures, and I think that's the important part.
So you wrote a book, you customer service training, you have a podcast. How did that all of those things come together? What was your dream? Was your dream job wasn't to grow up and be like a customer service rep? What was it? Or maybe it was. I don't know.
Doug, when you were in 5th grade, you can't tell me that your dream job, when they said, what do you want to do when you grow up, wasn't customer service speaker and author.
I wanted to be a reporter, and I can remember driving. My dad had a Mercedes 450 SL. I don't know why I remember that, but he had the old school Mercedes, and it was the kind that was a 2-seater. And I was little Dougie, 4 years younger than my brother, sitting in the back bench of the Mercedes. There wasn't a seat, and they asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up. So I'm thinking this is probably when I was maybe 8 or 9 years old, and I said I really want to be a reporter. So my dad and my brother started laughing, and I said, "What's so funny?" So my dad said, "Why do you want to be a porter?" And I'm like, a porter? He said, well, yeah, why do you want to carry people's bags and stuff? And I'm like, I didn't say that. I said I wanted to be a reporter. And ever since then, maybe I did say porter. I mean, what the fuck do I know? I was probably 8 years old. So they were on me for almost 20 years, probably 30 years. My brother still reminds me of having that conversation with him. And I wanted to be a reporter, not a porter. Not that there's anything wrong with being a porter and carrying people's bags and shit, but I wanted to be a reporter. So I think the curiosity factor has always been, questioning and doing that kind of stuff has always been, a part of my life. So I did want to be in the world somehow.
I screwed up. We were in New York together. You could have carried my bags for me.
Yeah, that's very, very true. Yeah,
a missed opportunity. So I don't really remember when I was really young, having that, I want to be a fireman or whatever. I used to be really into Army stuff, and my favorite president was Ike when I was really young. But when I got older, when I got in high school, it was definitely, I wanted to be Jimmy Page. I mean, I played guitar. I've been playing guitar for 30 plus years. Now that I work like I do, I just look longingly at them on the wall. But I was in a band in high school. It was to be a rock star.
Well, with guitar, if you don't put it in the case, it actually has more of a lure to you to actually pick it up and play. I'm staring at both of my guitars right now. I have a Martin and a Carvin, a Martin acoustic and a Carvin electric, and I stare at them every day. I have not picked up the Carvin in probably a year, but the Martin, we sing the Nice Guy Blues with it every once in a while, so I enjoy it. So do you actually get a chance to ever play it?
I started a few months ago just practicing 5-10 minutes a day.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to do that right now, and I'm going to definitely focus on it next year because I really enjoyed it. I actually did a year at Berkeley. It's funny. We learned something new. I didn't know you played guitar. We've never discussed this before.
Nope, never have.
But yeah, I did a year at Berkeley, and then, do you know the old joke, how do you get the guitarist to turn down?
No.
Put a piece of sheet music in front of them?
Yeah, I believe it. So you went to a school of music.
That was my problem at Berkeley, yeah.
Yeah, my daughter right now is at Peabody in Baltimore, and she's studying to get her master's in music or music ed. I don't. She's paying for this round, so I didn't really have to pay that much attention to what she's studying exactly. I know it's music related, but man, music theory, that is hard shit. I don't understand that at all.
Yeah, the theory wasn't bad. It was a sight reading. But you know what? I'm from a family of musicians, and none of us can sing. It's a curse. It's pretty funny. We call it the Toporek curse. But my dad actually went to Peabody. He had a master's in music. He was like a real musician.
Oh, geez. Wow. That's more power to him. That's it's definitely a tough way to go. And as Strickland would attest to, the co-host of the show, it's like, why the hell do you want to get your master's in music unless you're going to be a music teacher? Just go out and play and make money that way.
It's like getting your master's in poverty.
Very, very true. Very true.
Now, you can teach. There's a lot you can do with it. It's just you're not going to be, you're not going to be Miley Cyrus or Madonna. I mean,
well, unless
if you're doing it for that, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. If you're doing it because you really want to teach and maybe do film scoring or a lot of these other things that are sort of behind the scenes, there are some definitely great opportunities.
So talk to me for a second about the different channels that you work on. So you're working through a podcast, you have your book, you do, I know you speak professionally. I know that you do some training as well. So those 4 channels, do you find that you have to be as diverse as you are and as I am in order to be successful in not just the world of customer service, but in business today as an entrepreneur? So all of these channels?
I mean, I personally believe the model dictates, right? It just depends on what your model is. I think for you and me, we have to be on a lot of different channels because we're out there building brands around our name. Now, everybody may want to be on social or whatever. I don't think, the Jiffy Lube next door to me needs to be on Snapchat right now. Mm-hmm.
Or maybe they do and they just don't realize it because they, there are a lot. What's the average age of somebody on Snapchat? Like 9? It's okay. I'm just kidding. To all Nice Guy community members, I did not just take a shot at you. I know you're 16. So yeah, they're like Snapchat. Maybe we do need to turn on to like a channel like Snapchat. Maybe Jiffy Lube needs to. Maybe they need to be a little disruptive in their world and move to something like I don't know that.
It depends who their customer is. If their customer is millennials or 30 or 40 years old, yeah, maybe. It really depends on who your customers are. Maybe that wasn't the best example because they're retail, but maybe the people who supply Jiffy Lube the oil don't need to be on Snapchat, right?
Right.
Okay, so it really depends on your model. I think for us, it's really a challenge because we have to figure out ways to be on a lot of different platforms and we're in the places we're at, I don't know. We've had some discussions. We have to figure out how to scale that.
Right.
At a certain level, you can start to scale it easier.
Yeah, it's that is definitely part of my challenge in growing my business is where do you, we had just had a conversation before we hit record about my relationship that's evolving, the ever evolving relationships that I have out there, one specifically with Jeffrey Hazlett and C-Suite. And it's just amazing the people that you meet along the way and the directions that you're pulled in, not unlike many people that are out there in our Nice Guy community that are in business, and they just, how do you decide, Adam, and maybe because you've been on this journey a while as well, how do you decide which direction that your business should go? You got a guy that's a home improvement specialist, and he meets a real estate agent, and all of a sudden now he's focused specifically in the real estate world. Now, how do you know like what direction to go in and where to focus? Do you write down your goals? Do you do what are you doing to determine what your focus is?
Man, I'm so glad this interview is in November and not in like March of this year.
Okay, all right. So tell me why.
I just got back from doing a workshop in New York. That is my last. I've got one other trip. I've pretty much blocked most of November and December for travel because I've worn out the road. I've worn out the air miles this year. And that's what I'm doing. I'm actually really looking at my strategy, my top 3 goals for next year. I can tell you content will be a big part of whatever that plan is. I know that going in. And I'm looking at that now because one of my challenges as an entrepreneur and also as somebody, because I'm a 3rd generation entrepreneur. I've had very few traditional jobs, but you and I have that in common. But yeah. I think when I was listening to your podcast, what do you call yourself? Something unemployable?
Gainfully unemployable.
Gainfully unemployable, right? Which is a great phrase, by the way.
Yeah.
So I've got those same thing. But one of the things, and I don't know if you have this challenge, it's the idea of saying yes to everything, right? Opportunity knocks, just do it, go for it. And I've found that in a lot of ways, the sort of my name's gotten out there. I'm getting a lot more opportunities now. A lot more is coming in. Do this, and can you be on this for us, and all these things. And saying yes to all of them is actually being counterproductive. It's taking focus away from what my core goals need to be. So when you ask how I do that, one of the things I'm trying to sort of fix and be better about is actually finding those key goals and saying no to things, even if they're great. Well, let's say, even if they're just good. If they're great, I may do them. But if they're just good, starting to say no to anything that distracts from the key drivers.
Okay, so you developed a program. You developed an online training program that you have. I think you're also on Thinkific. Yes. Thinkific too. So thank you. I don't remember if I got them from you or you got them from me, but or maybe we just found them independently. But very, very similar platform to our training program. So that's kind of cool. So you have your online training program. So that's pulled you in one direction. You have this podcast called Crack the Customer Code, along with Jeannie Walters, and I know, especially when you have a co-host, you need to kind of work with their schedules. You have, your book, Be Your Customer's Hero. And I know that took a huge amount of time. And I'm sure if you're like most authors, very similar to me, that you have another one that you are itching to write, but just need to find the time to be able to write something else. And then, so you talk about all of these things that are in people's lives. And now you start to have to pare back a little bit, because let's say you have 6 or 7 actions or activities, almost like you're doing daily. I mean, you have to think about Crack the Customer Code daily. You have to think about what you're going to do for your book promotion. You have to think about your online training program. Oh, and don't forget, you also have to work on business development too, to make the phone ring. So you have all of these things that are in your life, as we all as entrepreneurs have in our lives. How do you prioritize where to put your time?
Well, one, I think, for me, this is a business. It's not, I do it because I love it and I enjoy it, but it is a business. So first thing is, what do I like that's going to drive top line revenue? Mm-hmm. Straight up, I'm a business guy. I'm all about profit. I'm all about being successful. It's good for me. One of the lenses I think I bring, and I'll circle back to the question. Of the lenses I think I bring to my customer service training is that real world experience, being in retail for over a decade, growing up in small businesses, family businesses, and not all this sort of woo woo, like, okay, here's what Amazon does and here's what Zappos does. And I use those examples, but it is hard to deliver customer experiences. So one of the things for me is trying to bring that real world perspective. And now I've completely forgotten the question, so I'm just going to talk about
prioritize. How do you prioritize? What direction you're supposed to go in?
Well, so that's my value proposition. That's how I was going to circle back. So how do I get that message across? Because I know what I do very well, and that's training teams on customer experience and customer service. So that I know is a priority for me. How do I determine that priority? One, it's where I think I have competitive advantage. It's where I think I have I'm at the higher up the food chain in my knowledge base on that topic. And I'm able to also, I have proven experience, I have proven results, so that I can talk to companies and I can say, here's what I can do for you. Here's how it can benefit you. And one of the things in choosing that priority is because I'm seeing it work. So I think there's what you want to do, and there's what the marketplace wants you to do. And it's finding, to me, that's it. That's sort of if you can distill everything I just said down to one message, that's it. You got to find the thing you want to do and that the marketplace is willing to pay you for.
And that was the other thing I was going to add to that, is that you have to follow the money to a certain degree. Only if you have things like bills that you need to worry about. Some people do it for the love of business. I was in Florida yesterday, and on my way back, I was sitting next to 2 ladies that were both retired and both have husband, or one of them had a husband that had made she didn't say this, but I know the guy, so has made a mint in the world of prescription medication. And so in talking to her, I discovered that she does things for the love, just because she's passionate about them. She doesn't have to worry about the money that's involved. And unfortunately, where most of us is in a position where it's almost like there is we have to think about the money first and the passion for what we love to do second. And it's such a shame because I always come back to, I wish I could just do what I love. I love doing everything that I'm doing. I love the podcast. I love the book. I love the online training. I love the travel. I love all of that stuff. But sometimes I have to just stay in my office and just say, I cannot do what I love right now because I've got to focus on business development. And that's just the part, we talked about this before. I love building relationships. I hate having to close deals because for me, that's just such a drain of energy just to worry about the money. But the reality is, don't we all have to worry about that as a part of, our business?
Well, right. And the positive note for that circles back to what we said before is that eventually the bigger you get, the more you can scale and, basically delegate the activities you don't like to do. So that's the good news. The more you can show up and quote unquote, be the talent, right?
Or the other side of it is you get so good at what you do that people will buy what you have to offer no matter what. I've been in the DJ world, in the entertainment world for 30 years, and I spent probably 20 of those 30 years marketing hard. And the last 10 years, specifically, I would say more like the last 4 or 5 years since I've been building the speaking business, I've done nothing in the way of marketing myself in my DJ business. And yet the phone, I'm very fortunate the phone continues to ring because of all of those seeds that I had planted, 20, 30 years ago, which is great. Help me for a second. I know that because of some contractual obligations that you have, we can't get into the specifics of company names and et cetera. But share a little bit of your journey and your world in building another business outside of customer service. Have you found as though the world of franchise has been good for you, indifferent to you, something that you really are totally into, not into? Share that part of your journey a little bit.
Well, that part of the journey came first. I mean, customer experience, customer service. Sometimes when I do my bio, I talk about being a third generation entrepreneur and growing up in it. It's always been a focus because I was literally raised on it, as a child. I mean, both of my parents' businesses were very customer centric. Mm-hmm. So I was in franchising before I ever started talking and blogging and speaking and then book and all, the whole thing we went through. So yeah, I come from that business, and franchising's been wonderful for me. Now, franchising has pros and cons like anything. Just speaking not even for my personal experience for a minute, you give up control. Mm-hmm. You get somebody else's business model, but they own that business model and they tell you what to do with it. And there's a lot of rules. I always say it's half entrepreneur, half employee.
Yeah.
Because you've got to be able to follow other people's rules and handle other people's control. But on the other hand, you've got to make it work. You've got to sow and reap so you can eat.
I don't mind.
So you've got to be an entrepreneur from that standpoint.
I don't even mind that sometimes, though, because I feel like it's almost like when you learn how to fish or when you learn how to play golf. Let's use golf because probably more people play golf than fish. When you get out to play golf, if you're no good at it and you take a lesson, somebody says, stand here, use this, and swing it like that. When you're in a business that you're all on your own and you're trying to figure out how to start a podcast and you're not a part of, any bigger system and you're just trying to, okay, well, what kind of equipment do I buy? You don't know shit about how to start a podcast. So it's almost like the franchising business. If you are the kind of person that can take, like you said, some instructions, it's a good thing. So what made you decide, okay, the franchising was great, but I'm ready to do my own thing now, just completely, free balling it. So talk about that for a second. How did you make that decision to make that?
That was passion. And I was fortunate enough to do, I've done this slow. I could have done it much faster and be at a much probably more advanced place with it. And I've done pretty well, but it's been part-time. I've done this on the side, increasing each year. I've done 2 franchises, had multiple retail businesses. Now I'm down to 1 and all of this. I'm out of retail completely. So, I've done it and it was good because it's sort of like people that do this and have a full-time job, right? I had that ability, but this was just passionate. I just kept finding as I was really managing my own businesses in this environment, what I kept coming back to was customer experience is everything.
Right.
And I kept seeing it. I mean, I was seeing, everybody talks about it and customer experience and the journey, and we all teach it, of course. But yeah, I was seeing the power of it. I was seeing the ROI of not ticking somebody off. because you were proactive and you did it right the first time, because your team was trained on the right language and didn't take a good experience and say something stupid, not because they were a bad employee or had malice, but just because they're 19, it's their first job and they don't know how to communicate, using language that's proper in a customer-facing situation. So I just started thinking about it a lot, and I was developing my own policies and procedures. I was developing all of these internal things, and I just started, I was like, hey, I'm going to start a blog, and I started talking about it, and that started resonating. And, I didn't even start, the blog I started actually was sort of small business and franchising. That lasted like 6 months, 5 months, and I realized all I kept writing about was customer experience for the most part.
Yeah. Yeah, and now you have a company that's called Customers That Stick, and I love
CTS Service Solutions, but that's the website. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So the CTS though, that is Customers That Stick though. Isn't that what it is?
I think I did the letters right. Yeah.
I just want to make sure I didn't screw up your company.
CST. I did the trademark like, oh, crud.
No, it's CTS, right?
Correct. You are correct.
I got that right. I took it right off your website, so I'm hoping I got it. I hope I got it right.
You did.
So it is really about getting that customer to come back again and again, and it is part and parcel about a positive customer experience, more than just a positive customer experience. You want a customer experience that's like, as Shep Hyken would say, that's wow. You have to wow your customers, and it is about making sure that that your customer service, because the experience, actually the journey that your customer takes through your brand or with your brand, that's the experience. The service is the customer service side of it, is how you actually react and respond to the things that they have going on. So that is. Is there any more to providing exemplary customer service other than that? I mean, what's your definition?
All you need to know is what we just said in the last 5 minutes. That's really all you need. You'll be great at it.
Yeah, that's right.
There's nothing else to it, Doug.
So how do you you have your lousy days though too, right? I mean, you have your crappy days. So how do you bring a positive message in on a day where you don't feel like it? There's so many people that say, I couldn't do what you do. You always have to be up. I'm like, I'm not always up, but my customer doesn't care if I've had a bad day.
It's so funny. That's actually and that's one of the, areas of focus with frontline teams is one, we just talked about it, Disney, on stage and off stage. When you're on stage, you got to have your game face on. Yep. Doesn't matter how you feel. Doesn't matter what's going on in your personal life. No one cares. Your customer does not care. They do not want to know. I mean, if you have a client relationship, so, you can tell, hey, look, my car broke down and then, Bigfoot stepped on it. Sorry, I'm 5 minutes late to the meeting. But, in general, in a lot of client relationships, they don't want to know. They just want to know what you are going to do for them.
Right.
You're there for whatever they're there for, service or product, and the experience, and they want you to provide it. So part of that is a professionalism thing. That's, I think with people that are less experienced, it's a professionalism discussion. It's understand that when you're here, there are certain things we leave at the door. There are certain things we leave behind. Now, one of the things I teach with anybody, I mean, this is all levels of the organization. Anybody that's customer facing, it's funny how many people ask me this, is how do I deal with not a bad day even, but getting screamed at, getting yelled at.
Yeah.
And not carrying that forward. I mean, that's in Be Your Customer's Hero. I've written about it on the blog. The mentality, one of the big things I think I do a little differently is I talk a lot about brain science and psychology when I train. I think it's crucial. This is like the golden age of psychology and brain science and neuroscience. And we have so much more information about what makes us tick. And the good news is we have all that information. The bad news is we basically realize that we're all irrational and sort of crazy.
Right. I totally get that.
So I teach a lot of that, and that's part. And so, one, I teach it from the perspective of understanding your customer's psychology, but two, understanding our own. Okay, when you get yelled at, it's not about. I mean, there is a chemical reaction that happens whether you like it or not. Mm-hmm. Now, you're either trained to handle that chemical reaction and to know what to do with it. When those things start flooding your brain, did you know you actually have a negative chemical reaction? They've studied this with an MRI just to hearing the word no and seeing the word no. Okay.
Well, we hear no so many more times than we hear the word yes in our lives. We are totally attuned to it, and our body knows how to react to it.
I mean, that's the thing about the brain science. I mean, I teach. Look, you're going to say no, you're going to say can't, you're going to say don't, because we're human and we're so used to saying these words. But let's look at how we can shape our communication to minimize those words. I mean, it's going to slip out once in a while, but we don't want to say don't. We don't want to say can't, because literally we now know that there is a physical, chemical reaction in our brain just to hearing negative language. It's amazing. So when you talk about, there's certain techniques I teach, like here's how you sort of wash it off. If you have a bad customer, you don't want to carry that forward to the next one, right? If you come in, you're having a bad day and the first customer of the day just lights you up, right? I mean, your adrenaline is coursing through your veins. I mean, you're just like, your face is red and you're having to sit there and go, yes, ma'am, I understand, right? That's not natural. We're biologically wired, to
be defensive,
right? To respond to aggression,
right?
Yes, ma'am. What was that old movie? Thank you, sir. May I have another?
Yeah. No, totally get it. I mean, and customer service and the experience, no matter what your industry is, it follows you. And you're right. I've spent the last year with a cognitive behavioral therapist, and she's done an amazing job with helping me with levels of anxiety and helping you understand and recognize the things that are going on in your life and the way that you actually can not control what's going on, but you understand and you develop a curiosity more so than a knee-jerk response. I'm going to fight this. Well, as soon as you say you're going to fight it, you make it worse. Actually, you're not helping at all.
Because you can't control what happens. Well, sometimes you can, but you can't control everything that happens.
Right.
You can only control how you react to it.
How you react to it, exactly. I want you to take off your customer service hat for a second, and I'm going to talk to you as a business owner. I have 5 questions I want to ask, and I'm going to do my best, although every time I say this, I end up stepping on the responses pretty quickly. But I'm going to do my best not to step on any of the responses. Take about 15 or 20 seconds to answer each one of these. I have not prepared you for any of these, so whatever your first thought is the one that I'm really looking for. So you ready to do this little rapid-fire Q&A here?
Do I have a choice but to say yes?
Yeah, well, no,
yes.
You don't, as a matter of fact. Okay, here we go. Be relatable. What do you suck at?
What do I suck at? Singing. I can't sing at all. I told you already.
All right, good. Be transparent. How did you pay your bills when you first got going?
How did I pay my? Oh, I did. You mean like what type of jobs? I worked at Barnes and Noble once. Up at the front, you're selling the little membership cards. Mm-hmm. I played in bands sometimes, acoustic duos.
Oh, nice.
I had a website. I had my own businesses, website design, stuff like that.
Good. Okay. Be confident. What do you do as an entrepreneur that's as good as it gets?
I think my workshops, the customer service training.
Okay, good. Be humble. What experts did you need to call upon to make shit happen when shit wasn't happening?
To call upon. I don't know the answer to that. I mean, I get, I've reached out to a lot of the mentors in our field.
Yeah.
I guess Shep, Hyken, Jay Baer gave me some really good advice once. Jeffrey is a good mentor if you can
reach him.
If you can reach him and get in there.
Yep.
But I've learned from a lot of people at our that's sort of on the same level with me.
Right.
Stan, our good friend Stan.
Yep.
Jeannie, you. So
yeah, we had when we were up in New York at C-Suite a couple of months ago, probably a few months ago now. By the time the show airs, we that dinner that we had, you, me, and Joy, that was terrific because it really did make it. Although the three of us shared equally in our experiences, what's so great about it is that there's so much relatability that 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 you're in the right spot because you have two other sad souls that are in the same position that you're not sad. You know what I mean? You have two other people that have been through the same journey or very similar journey. It's like, okay, maybe Joy is a little bit further ahead in her speaking world, or maybe Adam is a little bit more ahead in his training workshops, or maybe I'm a little bit more ahead in the social media outreach and all of these things. It's just like, okay, all right, now I just know what direction I have to go in. There, you see, I told you I'd step on all.
Well, I'll add one thing to this topic, and this is literally one of the few guiding principles I've had for over 30 years. There's a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson: "Every man is my superior in that I learn of him." Of course, I include women and dogs and all, because that was like the 19th century.
Right,
but it is truly how I approach things.
No, it's a good way to approach it for sure. All right, last one. Be realistic. Where are you going to be in the next 90 days, and how far do you think that you can see into the future?
90 days? That's not a very good time horizon.
Well,
I'll have 50 more Twitter followers in 90. I don't know. 90 days. That's really. I'll probably be a few steps ahead of where I am right now in 90 days.
It's interesting though, because and I relate and I hear what you're saying, and there is a level of laughability in it. But I have to tell you, honestly, Adam, I have a really challenging time seeing beyond that 90 days. Maybe that is oftentimes what will hold me back. But the 90 day, then it's almost like I can forecast 90 days like a motherfucker. I mean, I can totally tell you where I'm going to be in 90 days, and with surety, I can get there. But you say to me, where are you going to be in 6 months? I'm like, I don't know. So there's got to be some link, something I can bridge. Go ahead.
Well, I'll do it this way. I'll say I'll twist the question slightly. Instead of where am I going to be in 90 days, because that sort of seems like an achievement. Are you going to be speaking on big stages? I'd say what will I be doing in 90 days? And I think the difference that circles back to the beginning of the conversation, whereas I will definitely have a plan and goals and be working a much more focused approach to my customer experience business than I have right now.
And how far do you think that you can see? If you realistically had to say, Doug, I know confidently, I mean, obviously you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. I mean, that's probably an accurate statement. How far realistically do you think that you can actually see down the road in your career path?
I think see in general terms, you can never see specifically, because it's always different than you thought it would be, right? There's always this opportunity or this twist, or you discover something new along the way. I think I'm pretty good at 2 years.
Oh, wow. That's great. That's really great. I just can't do it. I always feel like I need additional coaching or mentoring to help get me there. Or I need to ride along with someone that is able to see that far, and then they actually can help me. It's almost like I need a host. Can somebody help me do this, please?
I'm better at predicting the future for other things than myself. I'll say that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, I get that for sure. Okay. A couple more questions. You have your phone anywhere near you?
I do.
Excellent. Do you have an iPhone or something inferior?
I have an iPhone.
Okay, great. Go to your photo app. What's the last thing you took a picture of?
No, I don't even have to look. I can tell you right now. It is the sign on the parking row of the parking deck at the Orlando airport, because every time I fly,
yeah, I do the same.
I take a picture of the sign so I can know where to come back to.
That's where you're going to be. Okay, and last question. Go to your texting app. What is the last text message you sent and received?
Oh, wow. Well, good thing I don't have Anthony Weiner's phone. Let me see what we have here.
It's probably a good case, a good particular. But, very good, very good.
Eggs, please, at Whole Foods.
Nice.
This is to my wife.
Yeah.
I'm going to Walgreens. Need anything?
Excellent. Well, way to go. Way to go. All right. How can our listeners, if they want to get more information about either your customer service workshops or your book or anything that you do, how can they get more information about you?
Well, it is all about making customers stick. So customersthatstick.com, we've got Crack the Customer Code podcast, but you can find everything on customersthatstick.com, on my social channels, all about me, all about the things we offer. And I love to connect. So reach out to me socially and any way you want. I'd love to connect with your audience.
That's great. We'll make sure we put all of Adam's connection information and websites and his podcast, Crack the Customer Code and Be Your Customer's Hero, his book on Amazon. Very nicely done, by the way, on your book. You got a huge amount of positive reviews. Very challenging.
I got to add one thing to the end.
Yeah, go ahead.
Guess what I found out just 2 days ago?
Yeah.
Be Your Customer's Hero is going to be in Chinese.
Wow, way to go.
Isn't that cool?
I don't know if I'd be able to read a copy of that, but for any of our listeners in China, you are certainly, I think we're banned in China, actually. I don't think the nice guys are allowed to say the word fuck in China. So
I bet you are banned, Doug. I'm almost positive.
I am pretty sure that we've been taken away from China. Thank you. So we'll make sure we put all the information in the show notes. Nice Guy community, never underestimate the power of nice. Again, special thanks to Adam Toporek for being a guest on the show today. Thanks, Adam.
Thanks so much for having me. Great time.
My pleasure. All right, Nice Guy community. Talk to you soon. Steve O'Brien, go ahead and take us out of here.
For the Nice Guys on Business, I'm Steve O'Brien. Fill up your week with the Nice Guys. Haven't they run out of people willing to talk to them yet?